and welcome to my very first podcast. Sorry in advance if I mess it up, but I'm going to give it a shot. So, this website is the Protein Data Bank. Why would I make a screencast of the Protein Data Bank? Well, because I'm going to ask you to go here today and look at proteins. I'm going to ask you to visit various parts of this website, get some really cool visualizations for proteins, and learn a little bit about what they do so that you can share it with each other and get a better sense of what proteins are, what they look like, what are some of the things they do, and what are some of the really awesome things that they can do. Okay, so the Protein Data Bank is full of lots of cool stuff. But what I'm really going to be asking you to do is to kind of dial into a couple specific proteins to learn more about them. So the place to go is up at the top to learn, and then Molecule of the Month. Once you click that, you'll see by starting with what letters they start with, you'll see tons of proteins. You can click on the letters and see other proteins, and under each letter, there's a whole bunch of proteins that you could then click on, right? You also can go to by category, and that gives you categories you might be interested in. So if you're really interested in the immune system, you could check out proteins there. Or if you're really interested in viruses, you could check out some proteins there. So you have basically lots of different options for what you can look at. Say we want to go into a specific one. Well, we can click on that specific protein, like so. Okay, so I clicked on AAA plus proteases, and it took me here. This is great because it gives me some information about the protein. It has some written pieces here. Hopefully when I see it ending in ASE, I already know that it's probably an enzyme. And sure enough, this is a protein cutting machine, but it gives me a little more information about it too. And it gives a kind of a cool picture here on the right. You can see a little bit about the structure of this protease. However, we can see even more of the structure if we look for this little code. Not sure what it means, but it says PBD entry, and it usually has a number, some letters, and then this little thing, which is like a box with an arrow coming out of it. You want to look for this in order to get better pictures of your protein. So we can go ahead and click on it, and it opens a new window. And then what you're looking for in this new window is where it says 3D view. You want to check out the 3D view because that gives you the really cool view. So click on that. And voila, we end up here with a 3D view of our protein that we can then manipulate and move around. First thing to notice is these green bars coming out, right? So these are just to provide us some perspective. They're kind of like a central axis, and then they have divided into however many bars there are, so that you can get some perspective on this protein. So now when I turn it, I can see there's one axis coming all the way down the center, one coming across the middle here, and then again, when it was turned this way, we see them all branching out into small chunks as well. But it's really just for perspective. It's not a structural part of the protein. So we have this really cool image where we can see some of the shapes that proteins make. Proteins, once they're created, they fold into all kinds of crazy shapes. And notice lots of the helices here. Lots of things that look like, you know, a curly piece of hair. It's based on the properties and the building blocks of the proteins. They fold into all different shapes, and there's lots of these curlies, these helices here. And another thing that you can look at is a slightly different view. So I really like this cartoon view because it just gives you a look at some of the shape of the protein and how it's folded. But if you click here, you can also check out another one, which is the surface view. And that's also gives you a kind of cool view of the protein, thinking of it as like really it's a molecule. So this kind of gives you more of like a filled in version to be looking at, and this can be a really cool picture as well. Notice when you look down the center of this one, it's kind of a little bit hollow in the center. That's so it can take in its proteins and it can cut them up because it's a protein cutting machine. Okay, so we're going to pause here for a moment and think a little bit about what are we actually looking at when we're looking at the protein, right? What's making it up? Seems like that's super important to see. So we're going to move over to this video and watch just like the first minute. Let's go. Okay, so as you can see from the video, this protein is made up of many amino acids. If I had to guess, I'd say probably somewhere like thousands, but I'm not totally sure. The way I'm thinking about it is that each of these kind of little ballish things that we're seeing is a different amino acid. And those amino acids are each forming a nice strong covalent bond with each other. And then they fold up into these crazy shapes that we see that make up the proteins. So hopefully we'll spend some time and a little bit more information about what causes them to fold. But your real goal for today is to really just focus on getting some visuals, getting some images. Like, what are these crazy molecules? What do they look like? What are some shapes? What are some of the really cool things that they do? And you have so many choices in here to be looking for as you go. Just notice that when I click on the cartoon one, this is still representing amino acids, but each curl is going to be made up of many, many amino acids. And then the reason why it curls is because each amino acid is going to be interacting with another amino acid to cause these shapes, these helices, these curls that you see. So this visual gives us a really good picture of the structure, but doesn't allow us to see a great image of like each individual amino acid. The reality is that proteins are just really huge molecules made up of so many amino acids that we just can't really get a really good picture of every single amino acid or every single atom in there because there's so many atoms that are involved in making this up. So good luck to you today, and I hope that my very first screencast ever helps you out. Bye.